This is Tim Donst. This is not my podcast, but this is the Wrestling Cheers podcast. Catchphrase.
Taking your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
And welcome back to Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, even if we might not be able to hear it all the way through the PA system. This is Wrestling Cheers. We'd like to talk about things going on in Northeast Ohio independent wrestling scene. We preview shows, we review shows, and sometimes we even have interviews along the way. This is a review for AIW's Nightmare on North Elm Street. I'm your host, Justin Summers, and Wrestling Cheers is brought to you by the Trending Topics Network and Midwest Territory. Please rate, review, and subscribe your ever listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, Twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, and Instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose to desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com, and we have the merch store over at whatamaneuver.net. Like I said, this is a review for AIW's Nightmare on North Elm Street, which was at the Ashtabula County Fairgrounds. Wasn't live on IWTV, but you can go there right now and watch it. So, of course, you have me, and a little bit different this week. Only one other person on the show, and we got Stacy.
Hey, man, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. It was really nice to have back-to-back AIW shows.
It was. I was very tired when this weekend was.
Oh, God, a very, very long weekend indeed. So let's kind of get into this. I do want to preface a lot of stuff because this was also part of the, was it the WrestleFest?
Sure. Great question. The Geek Fest, WrestleFest. So I think these folks do like another show that's all nerd stuff.
Yeah.
But this was like their specific wrestling nerd show.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the first time they've tried to do something like this. Hopefully they keep doing it. I think there's potential there. But it was a good show.
I mean, we first get there, and of course there was tailgate going on. That was a fun experience. And it's we don't get it too often where there's just like a lot of room to tailgate where, you know, we can hang out behind someone's car and then also like set up chairs and like hang out a while instead of just like kind of standing around, not a lot of room to like throw chairs up and everything.
That was, I wish there had been more people there. Like if there had been like the Tadmore Shrine levels of people there. Yeah. That would have been a wild tailgate. As it was a fun tailgate. Plenty of room. I made a tragic mistake of not paying attention to medication that I was on that said, don't sit in the sun all day when you take this, and sat in the sun for like 3 hours. So I was feeling pretty shitty like right as the show started, but drank a bunch of water and kind of got a second wind.
Yeah, there was health issues between like you and both Charlie Butters. We're happy that both of you are doing fine right now, though.
Oh, mine weren't anywhere near Butters, but yeah, man, I'm glad that dude is all right too. I will say this. I don't know what psychopath designed those bleachers at the Ashtabula County Fairgrounds, but like I am not a man with long legs, right? Like my height comes from my waist to my shoulders, and I have never been less comfortable than sitting in those bleachers at the fairgrounds. They were like, I don't know if they were designed for children or if like traditionally in Ashtabula people are built weird, but holy fuck, are those bleachers terrible.
I never, or I should say never, but I didn't sit in those. The only thing that I did when it came to any of those bleachers is there happened like after the show, I went to like one of the farther sides, like after, because like in the middle is where you would enter onto them, and then you could either go under the grandstand or you could go and up to all the seats and everything. And on one of the far ends, I went to go talk to Derek, and I was also walking down it. Like, just all these metal beams were kind of like, it felt like they were bending a little. And I'm like, okay, I know I'm a big dude, but there's no way in hell that my weight should be causing like any of these to kind of just bow a little. Like, this should be like sturdy. And like, it made me feel horrible walking down there and back.
Oh yeah, if they bent for you, what do you think they did for me? Yeah, bleachers are a little rickety. They don't look rickety, and then you're on them and they're a little rickety. I think if I would have been in the first row, where there was nothing in front of me, it would have been fine. But like once you get past that first row, there was just like zero leg room, and I thought it was just me. And then I talked to some other people, and they were like, "Fuck no, dude, wasn't just you." Like I pieced out of those bleachers at intermission. I should have did it before that. But I relocated after intermission. I just couldn't do it. It wasn't happening.
Yeah, that was one of those moments where I was happy that I got ringside seating.
Yeah, if that shit goes down again next year, I highly recommend people splurge on that ringside seating. Unless you have very short legs. If you have very short legs, I'm sure those bleachers are fantastic.
But
child size.
Outside of the tailgating, we did have a little bit of merch going on under the grandstand. I was kind of disappointed because there was only like a handful of like outside vendors. I mean, you did have wrestlers and AIW and all that, which was great. But there was like, I think 2 or 3 just other merchants. And I was like, why did you do that? One of them literally left before intermission. And I was like, you still could have sold stuff either at intermission or maybe even after the show and then backed up.
You know, I never really got to look at all that. I was given a heads up that there was some cool like horror figure shit at the one table, and I just never made it over to look at it. I also almost bought one of those spots to set up outside just to sell a bunch of my old wrestling shit that I don't want or need anymore, so I don't have to take it with me when I move. But decided not to because I didn't want to be stuck at a table, you know. The tailgate and shit was happening. So.
Yeah, I was about to say that would have been a good idea, but obviously, yeah, that makes total fucking sense.
Yeah, maybe next time.
I would say that, or you could sell it to Rick.
Ah, man, I mean, so Rick is completely fair with people when he buys stuff, and I highly recommend everyone go to Time Capsule Toys for all of your toy purchasing needs. However, I want to sell my shit for the price Rick's going to sell shit for.
Understandable.
Not the price Rick's going to buy shit for.
Oh yeah, because he's got to make a profit.
I don't need to sell it. I just would rather not have to still have it.
Yeah. So yeah, go to Time Capsule Toys.
Yeah, free plug.
Oh, he's always got a free plug on here. I love Rick. I need to go back out there. There was something he had recently. I was like, shit, I kind of got to go look.
You can go meet Red Velvet on Saturday.
Nope.
Another free plug ski. Anybody who wants to meet Red Velvet, AEW star Red Velvet, is going to be signing at Time Capsule Toys on Saturday after she wrestles Britt Baker in Pittsburgh the night before.
Definitely everybody can do that. I would say note for me personally, and it's not a thing with Red Velvet. It's just I do have plans that day, plans that I can't really get out of. So,
I mean, there is an AIW show that day, so I completely understand. I know that's not what you're doing, but still, if people can't go, I get it. But if you are in the Girard, Youngstown, Ohio area, that shit's going down on Saturday.
And he keeps getting guests too. I always can't wait to see who's next.
Yeah, man, he's got had a revolving door of wrestlers that just show up for signings at the store every once in a while. And then, of course, you know, there's always going to be the spot at Toy-Hio.
I'm still upset that I'm going to potentially miss Danhausen being there. Granted, if I want to meet Danhausen, I can do it at Touch of Evil. I've met him a million times, but still him being there. I'm going to try to get out of it, try to get out of work or try to finagle something. But yeah, I want to go to that. And I don't like missing Toy-Hio.
Yeah, man, Toy-Hio. I have been at every Toy-Hio, and I did not realize until I watched the Cardona video how like it doesn't register with me how big that fucking toy show is until you like see it on video. Like when you're there, to me, it's just, you know, it's a big room full of vendors and shit. But then there's like all those other side rooms that I don't think about. And
yeah.
Like, it's fucking big. It's like one of the biggest toy shows in this part of the country.
And even
wild.
Even when I first went, like I want to say like that whole back corner, those rooms like weren't open that first time I went.
They weren't. No.
Yeah.
The show you're talking about, I specifically remember talking to you. Tom's table was inside against a wall. That wall is actually a sliding wall.
Yeah.
Like the area where the major bros were set up for their autographs.
Yeah.
That show wasn't there.
Yeah.
When you walked in that door, there was a wall.
Yep.
Right to your left.
Yep. I remember that now. I couldn't remember how it was set up. Then you said Tom was against that wall, and I remember as soon as you walked in, Tom's table was to the left.
Yep, and then Rick's was to the right.
Yep. And going from like that Toy Hio to the next, like watching like all that extra open, like, God, we talk a lot about Toy Hio on here, whether it be just because like we're in the area or whatnot, but it's something I heavily support.
Oh, for sure, man. Rick's my dude. I'm real happy to see shit work out for him, you know? I like to see good shit happen to good people.
Hell yeah. And then like going back to this particular show, I know like, cause I had mentioned the like people that left at before intermission, because there was someone that had 2 Ultimate Edition Macho Mans and I kind of want one. The only thing is like, I'm not a huge fan of paying the higher price, but obviously it's like, if you can't find it in the store, you got to pay a fee basically to get it from somebody.
Got to pay the troll toll, man.
Yep. So I kept looking at it. I was like, nah, I'm fine. And then when I was coming back for intermission, I was like, I'm going to go buy it. I'm in a good mood. I'm going to go buy it. And their table was wiped clean. They were all gone.
So if you're listening, know that you fucked up and you would have sold something if you would have stuck around a little longer.
Yeah, at least one person. And then still, I don't know how the business they did during the day, because I don't know how many people were going there to look at vendors. Like I didn't realize that there were going to be some there. So it was kind of cool that there was some, but you know, it kind of is what it is.
Were they set up over by Godfather? Like, was it in that same area?
No, it was literally like, as you walk down those steps, they were to the left, like right opposite of the concession stand.
Yeah, I didn't know where they had Godfather. I never saw that shit.
Godfather was as you walked in all the way to on the right-hand side, but to the left.
Got you.
Which, speaking of him, I don't know if I talked about this last week or not, but I got a comma figure signed. And it wasn't even just like the fact of getting it signed. I bought that on Wednesday and it came in Friday, got it signed Saturday.
Nice.
And I think that's cool as shit. I'm now kind of a mood of getting figures signed, because I have just a stack of 8x10s and like I don't necessarily display a lot of them. So it's just, if it's the only thing I can get, like I got a Mikey Whipwreck 8x10, fine. But I was there also to see Shane Douglas, and I got a ECW Shane Douglas figure signed. So having like those kind of things signed, I think is cool, because I've spent so many years getting 8x10s and I'm just kind of tired of them.
Yeah, man, there's only so many things you can do with an 8x10. They either go in like a fucking photo album kind of thing for 8x10s, or you frame them and put them on a wall. And like, I don't know. Figs are a cool thing to get signed.
So that comma figure came out like fairly recently. And the fact that I was able to get one, and it was from Walmart's website too, so free shipping, got it in 2 days.
Plug ski for Walmart.
Like they fucking need it. But
for those of you who aren't aware of a Walmart, they sell toys.
So there's a company out of Arkansas. They just said, no, I'm not going down that route. But yeah, got it. And actually, I'm kind of relieved, because I know a couple people that got them through Amazon, and not a free plug for them, and some through Walmart too. And they're
another company in desperate need of free advertising.
Well, Amazon's not going to like this, but these people that were getting their figures through Amazon and some through Walmart were getting them like squished. Like they were just throwing them in a bubble mailer and sending it.
Look, man, here's the deal. If you choose to purchase a thing that you care about that much from Walmart or Amazon, and you get what you get, you know? Like I get, you should send the shit back if you don't like the condition it shows up in. But if I were buying a fucking fig from Walmart or Amazon, I would assume the thing was showing up fucked up. Like if I didn't walk into the store and get it, if I assumed that whatever overworked dude was throwing shit together on the Amazon assembly line for me to get my shipment, yeah, I'm assuming my box is at least like crushed on the corner.
I can't remember if this is something I've talked about on the show, but I did buy the Johnny Gargano fan takeover figure from Amazon, and they sent me mechanical pencils.
That's nice. That's nice.
Not even close to being the same thing.
I would like to think that was just them critiquing Johnny's NXT wrestling style.
Fucking like
that was like a joke from the person at Amazon to you.
Yeah, God, that sucked. And it didn't help that the first time they sent it to me, they sent me Christian. Which, okay, cool. It was actually a figure that I ordered, but not the right one that they sent me. So I had to cancel my, quote, Christian order. And then they sent me mechanical pencils. But yeah, but that'd also be really expensive. That would like $20-some mechanical pencils. Like, no, that's way too much.
Man, I've seen really expensive mechanical pencils. Like, the company Cross that makes like pen and pencil sets. Their pencils are at least $20.
I'd have to check the picture, but I don't think they were $20 worth.
No, I'm assuming you got some plastic mechanical pencils.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, that sometimes you gotta order through Amazon and all that shit. But anyway, yeah, getting my comma in good condition, getting it signed, like, that's hands down fucking awesome.
Yeah, man, I actually just had a nightmare. Not a nightmare. I mean, I fucking dealt with it. Whatever. I get what I get. But there's a figure that I had been chasing for a while that there are very few of in the world. And I found one for sale for a price that was a price that I was pretty happy about. And I could see that there was a little bit of card damage in the picture on eBay. And I was fine with that because I didn't need it to be perfect. If I wanted it perfect, I'd pay the price for a perfect one, right? But specifically to me, a thing is if you're selling figs on eBay and there's any kind of bubble lifting, you got to tell people, right?
Yeah.
Because that thing can eventually be a loose figure and not a carded figure. It also means that you can't like display it in certain ways that you would have otherwise, like it puts some, some shit on it. Right. And so the pictures were not clear that there was any sort of separation, and the separation's not bad. It's just in one little spot, but it's there. Right. And so I get this figure and I am upset and I have a back and forth with the guy. And like I'm not Matt Cardona, so I don't leverage my shit and like, try to put a guy out. But I was just trying to be fair with the guy and get him to refund like, I don't know, $10. And he was having none of it. So he got bad fucking feedback because that's a thing you got to tell people about. Lesson learned. Don't sell cards with lifted bubbles and not say there's some bubble lifting. Yeah,
that's always a thing for me on eBay, just getting scared of getting screwed over. I had one not too long ago, and luckily it was someone I don't think they knew what they were selling. They were just selling stuff. It was the Kane Maximum Sweat figure, or one of them, I should say, because he did have two. And when I got it, or I should say when I bought it on eBay, like it had the mask, and that was kind of the big thing. I had it as a kid. That mask can easily come off, and you're SOL. And I think there was some on eBay, a lot of them without masks. So I found this one, really good price. I bought it, comes in the mail, no mask. And I'm like, what the fuck? I went back, double checked the picture, double checked the description, like everything's there. It doesn't say like, oh, like doesn't come with a mask. And I messaged the person and they're like, oh, it fell out in my car. And I was like, all right, good. Please send it. It took like a couple of weeks to get to me, but still I was like, no, I need that mask. Because other than that, I could have saved money, and if I wanted like this, I'd bought it like that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this fig. Cause like I still got it for a really good fucking price. But like it's one that I definitely was going to I want signed, and is getting put off to the side, but there's only so many of them out there, and the market price for them are fucking silly now, for the Colin Delaney figure.
Yeah, that's one I got to look for.
Yeah, man. So look, for me to find one at the price I wanted to pay for it took a long time. I've been looking for that fig for 2 years, and I've had Rick looking for him. I believe Rick might have one now that's in better shape than mine. I had even thought about like trying to work a little deal ski to give him that one and some dollars for the other one, but I haven't got to go in there and talk to him yet. But that figure goes for some silly money if it's on like a minty card.
Yeah, I hope to either.
I think there were only like 500 of that figure.
Yeah, that's one I hope I can either find in the wild, or just one day I'm just like, fuck it, and I pull the trigger on eBay. Because I definitely want one. I should have bought that a long time ago, and I think he might have been selling them too at one point.
Oh man, I wish I would have realized he was when he was. I would have fucking bought one then. I have one now though.
So yeah, I met him again, Godfather / Papa Shango. I opted to do the Papa Shango picture because technically I already met him as the Godfather when he did AIW before. And I think I did it like that because I didn't know he was going to be Papa Shango that night. So obviously when he came back out, I was like, I didn't have the money or everything to do another meet and greet. So I was just like, whatever. So when this fell in my lap, I'm like, ooh, I can get my comic figure signed and get a picture with Papa Shango. Fuck it, let's do it. I'm for it.
The first time he was at AIW, I got my picture with him as Papa Shango, and as just Charles in the parking lot while he was smoking with Pam and I.
Just Charles in the parking lot.
Yep.
I think I had someone ask me whenever I was going to get that sign. They're like, "Oh, too bad he didn't do a comma meet and greet." I'm like, I don't know
What's he gonna do? Shave his head?
Yeah, reshave his head and find a big ass gold chain to wear. I think someone said the Good Father too. And I'm like, all right, like that was just him in a fucking suit.
People are silly. People have dumb ideas. Stop having dumb ideas, people. Get a picture with Papa Shango. It's fucking cool.
You know what? Papa Shango should probably be the new leader of the Dark Order. He could be a good leader too. I just don't know if he'd fit.
Okay.
Okay. We'll move on. So that takes care of a lot of the pre-show stuff, unless we want to talk about the cover band that played in the ring.
Man, people shit all over that cover band. They were trying hard. They were playing hits of different genres.
Yeah. I think it's just like what we were talking about of like, imagine being that band and at least for their first set, like you were playing in front of like maybe 5 people. I think when we got closer to the show time, because I think they did take a break then come back on. I think for that second performance there were more people in the stands, but other than that, like you're starting a show off with like nobody. Like you pretty much just have live band practice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've played that show before in my life where you're playing to like 6 people. Happens. You have those shows. I don't know. I'll tell you, to me, the part where I went, like I was talking to a few people during the tailgate about this, where I was like, they're playing in the ring. Like that ring has a little bit of bounce to it, right? Like not a lot, but a little bit. And there's like a pad on the top and shit. Like, yeah. I feel like that would be very awkward to play drums on, like super fucking awkward to play drums on. And I would be concerned, like the amps, like it's not like a completely like stable flat surface. Those amps cause a lot of vibration and shit. I don't know. I just feel like it was playing in the ring seems like it would have sucked a lot.
Probably cool for a music video, but not for a performance.
Yeah, right? I don't know. Plus it was hot. Like if you were in the sun, it was warm. That ring's going to reflect it back at you and shit. I don't know. Good for them. They played a long time. Like a really fucking long time. I guess cover bands are probably used to that, but they played for fucking ever.
So yeah, I had to make sure we give the band a little bit of coverage of, yeah, they were there too and they played. And
I don't know who they were. I don't know their name.
I don't remember ever hearing a name. I wasn't sitting there listening to them, but I don't remember an advertisement. I don't recall them saying stuff. And I did, go back and forth to the grandstand a couple times. Nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's a thing that happened. There was a band.
Did you get any of the other food while you were there?
Oh, no, I didn't get any sloppy toppy, if that's what you're asking about.
Well, I didn't know if you did anything else. I did they called it a snow cone, but it was almost it was almost more of a slushy.
Oh, so it was basically just a slushy and a snow cone? It
wasn't even a cone. They were in cups, like big cups.
Oh,
and
weird.
You put your own juice on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much why we ended up getting Amanda. She was just like, oh, I kind of want one. I'm like, all right, gave her money. I'm like, oh, it's just I had the money on us. Gave it to her. She went and bought it, came back, and it was kind of more of a slushy. And I started to eat a little bit of it. I'm like, oh shit, this is pretty good. Like, let's go get more.
Nah, man, the only thing I had is I made some sliders at the tailgate out of Brock's pulled pork.
Mm-hmm.
And I had water. That's all I had the whole day. Water and pulled pork. Definitely no sloppy toppy.
Yeah, I did not get sloppy toppy either. I heard some of the other food there was, I guess, pretty good too. There was the Mexican street corn was pretty good.
Yeah, I heard people say that was very good. I guess there was a debate about a burger place in town that had some wild advertising claiming to be the best.
I saw that I saw that when I left, and the first person I thought about was Chuck Stone. And I was hoping he would have tried it, but he hasn't. So I'm thinking me and Chuck need to go up there and do some investigation.
Yeah. I don't know when the next time I will be in that corner of Ashtabula to try their burger, but I don't know that I would make the special trip. But you can report back. Let us know.
I'll drive many places, so that's not out of the realm of possibility for me.
Right.
So that pretty much takes care of everything non-show related. We talked about
for the most part. Yeah, I would say so.
So let's get into the actual show that we had. We started off things with bulking season versus the Bitcoin boys, and we do have to mention, kind of hinted at it in the intro, the PA system was not working out. I guess it was, they had a mono input.
So here's how that went. Because in the original advertising for this show, it said the first 2 rows were the whatever, and then all the other seats were GA, right? So I was sitting in the back row down by the ring, as you do when you follow the rules of what the people say. And it was brought to my attention that there was an issue with the PA, and if I could come look at it. Dustin asked me to check it out. And Brock and I looked that thing all over and could not figure out for the fuck of us why the signal was only coming through mono. Well, here's the thing. The way it was sent through, it's stereo out of a phone, but it was only going into one channel of a mixer, and every channel on a mixer is a mono channel. So they needed a Y splitter that they didn't have.
Yeah.
So for a lot of the entrance music, just because of the way it's mixed, it sounded like shit. There was nothing you could do about it. It's not like there was a Radio Shack up the road where you could go buy a fucking Y splitter.
Yeah, that's true. I think I have Y splitters, but obviously that did no good there.
Yeah, but I mean, you would have had to have had like a mic input Y split off of like there's a very specific split out for the way that they were trying to do that. The real thing would have been if there could have been like iPhone to RCAs, because there were balanced RCA ends on that PA head. And that would have given you a left and right. But regardless, there was no solution that was able to be done there on the spot. So the sound was what it was.
So yeah, we started off with this match.
Actually, we started off with something else that we should probably mention.
We should. I did fail to mention that because
go ahead.
if it's the same thing that you're thinking of, this did kind of go with the tailgate.
It did.
So obviously, we talked about it a couple weeks ago here on the show that we did lose another AIW family member. I think I've been pronouncing his name wrong too. Jeff Kalb. I've been saying Cobb.
Right. Jeff Cobb still wrestles, still with us. Jeff Kalb.
Kalb, yeah.
Unfortunately is no longer.
So the tailgate was in his memory because this was also in his like home area. This was going to be the equivalent of me for the Akron show. Like, granted, I'm not like super close to it, but I'm close enough to where it's the closest drive I'm going to have to a show. And that's what he was going to have. He was looking really forward to it. I do believe he was talking tailgating. He had, I think, ideas for after parties, places to go. Like, he was pumped for this. So we lose him almost 2 weeks before the show. We do the tailgate in his memory, and then before the show, we did have a 10-bell salute for him.
Yeah, and his dad was there and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was real nice of them to do the 10-bell for him. Thought it was very fucking cool.
It's something that we've seen, I feel like, in AIW recently way too much. And, I remember back in 2014, we lost a fan. It was at a show that I didn't go to. It was just, I couldn't make it because of my job at the time. And, we did the same thing. And there goes to a thing like, we say on the show, wrestling chairs where everybody knows your name. You're like, yes, this whole idea comes from the Cheers sitcom, and then of how, we are a family. Some people don't like necessarily use family. I always say, if you don't like that, I at least say community. So when we lose somebody in our community, it hits us, especially somebody who it's not like, he was battling an illness. Like, this was sudden. So this hit us really hard.
Yes. It was very unexpected.
Yes. Also too, like the next day there was his funeral or calling hours. And kind of a nice like last moment to say goodbye to him. I didn't know where his dad was at the show. I don't think I necessarily knew him at the time. I do believe his mom came to a Rager once, so right?
I think so. His mom definitely had been to shows.
Yeah.
So him and his mom went to shit all the time. They would go to like Less Than Jake shows and stuff. And
yeah,
his mom had been to like NXT with him before. I think it was a Rager she had been to. His mom's a super sweet lady.
Yeah. So, you know, we'll definitely miss him, you know, within the AIW community, and to be able to pay tribute to him at this was amazing. I don't know if the GoFundMe is still open. I mean, if it is and you can still donate, you know, please do. Like I know I did. I know, you know, Pod Van Dam did.
Lots of people did,
yeah.
There was a huge response to it, and I had seen, I think it was Thorne said something about the number of like wrestlers that had reached out and were, you know, like, oh my God, I can't believe that guy's gone. Like, so like a lot of people had, you know, he had touched some people's lives in different ways. So, yeah, it's too bad. You could tell that, you know, it affected a lot of people. You could see that like at the calling hours and stuff too. He will be missed by a lot of people.
All right, let's get into this match. No other way to do it, but bulking season versus Bitcoin Boys. You went back and rewatched this. I did not. I should have.
Correct.
And I really want to, especially because I do know Pedro was on commentary, and Pedro was one of my favorite people on commentary pre-Turner's Hall. And I think he might have been on commentary for the first Turner's Hall show, because commentary was up on the stage for that first show. But after
R.I.P. Turner's Hall.
R.I.P. Turner's Hall. But he hadn't done it since then, because it was just on the other side of the room and everything. So he bowed out. But what were your thoughts? Just first on Pedro on commentary.
It's good, man. There's definitely a little bit of a chemistry. You could tell, like, obviously he hadn't done it for a while, but like him and Wadsworth had a little bit of chemistry there, and it was good, man. Pedro did a good job, I thought. Sorry, that's not like in-depth analysis, but like I thought he was really good. He's better than me at commentary, that's for sure.
Okay, thoughts on this match?
This match is a match that I would like to see ran back again. I really liked it. I really like the spot that Mikey does all the time now, where he just keeps kicking the rope. I love that spot. I don't know why. Where he's like stomping someone and then he just ends up going like around the corner, kicking the rope and down the rope. Like it a lot.
The yelling he does with it too.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Like 1-2 punch.
Chuck Stone had a fan base at the show for sure. Like there was a group of people in the bleachers that were all about some Chuck Stone. Understandably so. Including his dad. That started to be one of my favorite things in AIW shows. It's shows where Chuck Stone's dad shows up and yells at him while he wrestles. It's great. No, all these guys are really like, so like, especially bulking. Bitcoin Boys have kind of found their niche and have gelled for a minute, but even with them, they keep getting better. But like bulking season since AIW has came back, and I'm guessing at least part of it is, you know, I'm not sure about Chuck, but I know like Arthur MacArthur worked a lot during the pandemic, like up in Michigan and shit. And like, it really kind of shows like those guys have really kind of gelled together as a tag team. And there's like things that you expect in a bulking season match now. And like Chuck Stone has that sweet one-man gang look going on. I don't know. I dig it.
I never put 2 and 2 together on that, but yeah, he does have a fucking one-man gang look.
Fuck yeah. Charles Hamburger. Love it. Those shirts are good too. Those Five Guys rip-off shirts that they have.
Yeah, I was kind of on the borderline of getting one. Part of the reason I didn't get one is, number one, they didn't have 3X available. That's something I have to, I think, talk to them or go through a website for.
Mm-hmm.
But my own personal thing is, I'm not a huge fan of Five Guys. Like, I know it's just a ripoff.
My thing is, if I'm fat enough that if I wear a red shirt, I just look like an apple. So I'm not going to buy a red shirt. But good on them for making one. Telling you, people who aren't big and fat want shirts that aren't just black. Pam bought one. Somebody asked her where the fucking restaurant was. She had to explain, no, this is about wrestling. This isn't a real restaurant.
Having to explain wrestling shirts sometimes is, I don't know, it could be funny and it could also be like embarrassing. That's one that's definitely not embarrassing. I had one where I wore a Dolph Ziggler shirt in downtown Kent.
Well, that's embarrassing.
Oh, hey, stop it. First it was 2011 and I was wearing his first shirt. And on the back.
Oh, that makes it better.
Well, on the back it said like, I am perfection. And I had somebody ask me like, what does that mean? And I'm like, nothing, don't worry about it. So me.
Well, that's a weird question. I am perfection's a pretty easy to understand statement. I don't know if that person should be in college if they don't understand that and had to ask a question.
Well, I'm wondering if it's like that is on a shirt that I'm wearing.
Oh, well, I guess there's some irony there. I don't know. It's a bold shirt choice on your part. It was a Ziggler shirt. Was it like pink too?
Oh no, that was before he started doing pink. That was like his first shirt was just black.
Oh, okay. So this was like just post cheerleader Dolph Ziggler.
This was, I mean, yeah, post cheerleader, but we're talking early. Well, back when his theme song was "I'm Perfection."
Ah, okay.
Which was before Here to Show the World. So we're talking that shirt came out early 2011.
But he's a Kent State legend. They should have known that's the Ziggs shirt.
No, they know Nick Nemeth. They don't know who Dolph Ziggler is.
I don't think they even know Nick Nemeth.
Yeah, they don't know Nick Nemeth. Of all the athletes that come out of Kent, nobody talks about Nick Nemeth.
No, not one bit.
I am friends with a bar owner in Kent, and he has a lot of stuff on the walls of former Kent students and athletes. Nothing Nick Nemeth. Nothing.
Well, that's strange, to be honest, because I mean, there's not really that many famous Kent State athletes. There's like 7, but I get it, I guess. At least like modern, like in the last 20 years, there's like 7.
Edelman, Curtis.
I don't even know if there's that many. There's like Edelman and Cribbs and dude who played basketball and then was a tight end for the Chargers. He used to come in and buy shit off me at Dairy Mart all the time. Fuck was his name? He's like the most famous of all of them, other than Edelman. What was his name, Summers?
I'm blanking on his fucking name. Because I was also thinking of, I think his name was Ben Curtis, but that's a golfer.
Well, that's not actually, golfers aren't actually famous.
There's
like one famous golfer, Tiger Woods. Everybody else is just anonymous white guy.
He had like a brief stint of PGA success. And like I think he won some major or someone, because I don't know fuck about golf. But I know he won something big and it was like big news that he won. So like, I think there's something Ben Curtis in that bar. Sure.
I'm sure there's a Drew Carey picture too.
Actually, I don't think there's anything Drew Carey. I would say this bar also does have like celebrities come in from time to time. And I think pictures of them are on the wall too. But
I think I know which bar it is and I'm not a fan of that bar. But I think I know why you know that bar too, because of your Browns backer stuff. So I'm not going to bad talk it. But
yes.
It was never my bar of choice when I lived in town.
I'll say yes, and I will say also I understand some other things that I won't talk about right here. But
sure. I used to hang out around the corner at the Zephyr. That was my place.
I used to hang out at the Moondog, but that was a recording studio.
Well, there's that too.
I
mean, if we're just going to name places we hung out in Kent, this is a whole different podcast, and I have a lot of places to fill in.
All right, back to
wrestling.
Back to this match too, and also too with bulking season and the Bitcoin Boys. You know, these 4 debuted together in AIW. Granted, in a 4-way match, but we've watched both of these teams form from that match and then have their own like success outside of AIW and like continuing to develop in AIW, and it's something fun to watch.
You know, the other thing about both of these teams too is all of them are starting to be pretty accomplished singles wrestlers. I mean, in the case of bulking season, they really kind of started as individuals and became a team. The Bitcoin Boys sort of were a team very early on and are now doing individual stuff. I mean, Mikey the day before had a pretty good fucking showing in the Biggins tournament. So I think that's an interesting thing with both of these teams, you know, with how deep the tag team division in AIW is. Both of these teams have the ability when they need to, you know, work other kinds of matches on it. I don't know. I think that's interesting because that's not always true for like some of the other tag teams.
And if I'm correct, Eric Taylor was just down for the Futures tournament.
It's possible. I don't know.
I saw pictures of him. He wasn't advertised, but there was somebody who, I think it was a Hardway Heater. He had to get replaced because of a surgery he had this week. And I want to say Eric might have been the one to replace him. If he wasn't the one to replace him, I know he was at the show because I've seen pictures of him there. And I don't think he was just there to hang out. But if he's doing that, yeah, I was about to say, like, if no matter what, him being down there, good for him. Love seeing, like all four of these individuals get out more and more, whether it be individuals, whether it be tag team.
Yeah, and Eric and Mikey both have very different individual gimmicks when they're on their own. It's very, but I mean, the same's true for Arthur and Chuck. I mean, Arthur is a time traveling, I don't know, a delusional man who thinks it's the 30s. Who knows? And Charles Hamburger, he's a hamburger man. It's good stuff, but it's all varied,
Arthur MacArthur.
I like both of these teams.
Arthur MacArthur thinks every show is old wrestling.
Man, I cannot wait to see Arthur MacArthur at Old Wrestling.
Fuck
that
yeah.
Is some shit. That is some shit that has needed to happen since that dude debuted. And I am real stoked to see that later this week. To sit in a fucking sweaty hot horse barn and watch that dude actually have his gimmick kind of fit in on a show.
Sweaty hot horse barn. I think don't they have wooden chairs too?
They have wooden chairs. Their bleachers are way more comfortable. Way more comfortable.
I don't find bleachers comfortable at all, but I'm not a bleacher person.
Hey man, the ones at Old are way better than the ones at that fucking at the Ashtabula Fairground.
Maybe a little battle of the fairgrounds, because that's also Old Wrestling is at fairgrounds too.
Yeah, I'll just start doing that'll be my gimmick. I'll just do bleacher reviews like that dude who does benches. Like, these bleachers suck shit. These ones are slightly less shitty.
I'd pay
Mount Carmel bleachers are the GOAT bleachers of all time.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, where do they rank? I don't think I ever sat in the bleachers.
Favorite bleachers for me. List of favorite bleachers: the Dog Pound, any seat in the Dog Pound, followed by the top row of the Mount Carmel bleachers.
This is a total different bleacher report.
For sure. That's copywritten. You better be careful.
Don't want to get a cease and desist.
For sure. They seem like they would take action on people who use their name in a way that wasn't representative of what they actually do.
Any more on this match from Bulking Season and Bitcoin Boys? I think it was a great place to start.
I do too. I think it got the crowd involved. It was fun. These guys always have good matches. I can't think of the last time I watched either a Bitcoin Boys match or a Bulking Season match and wasn't like, oh man, that was fun. So yeah, I think this was a really good way to start the show off.
It was both Mikey and Eric pinning Arthur to get the win. So not only did Arthur MacArthur lose, but he lost his hat too.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
I've been suspicious of that throw in the hat gimmick. Like, who are you, Odd Job? Stop that.
Yeah, I would have thought that, one of the students ringside helping with the guardrail and everything, they might have been like, hey, like, give that back. But no.
Didn't a kid get it, though?
I wonder if a kid did get it. I mean, that is the thing that was talked about on Twitter that, there was a lot of new fans here. So, like, they might not necessarily know what's going on. Like, to them, it was just wrestling. So that getting thrown out in the crowd, you'd think of, yay, that's a free souvenir.
Right. And again, if it's a little kid, you can't be like, hey, little kid, sorry, you think you just got something cool? Fuck you. Give me my hat back.
Yeah.
Artie can go buy a new hat.
He's going to have to buy a stock of them.
If he's going to keep throwing them out like a fucking frisbee, yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next match. Next up, we had Brian Carson versus TKD. This is one of the moments where there was, like, obviously issues with the PA system, and Carson's music, I remember, was coming in so weird, especially when he normally did the thing with the clapping. And that was just thrown out the window.
Yeah. Wasn't a good day. It wasn't a good day for entrance music. Some people didn't even have some. At least Carson sort of got hit.
And as I'm looking at pictures from the show, there was one person I don't think we mentioned on either review. Smart Mark Gary was at both of these shows.
I was going to mention Gary in a couple of matches if you didn't get brought up. But yeah, Gary was there. Really good to see Gary. Gary got a rousing ovation the night before.
Yeah.
There was a fucking Gary chant. It was good to see Gary back. I saw Gary was filming stuff this weekend too, so it seems like he's back out and regularly on the road. So I'm glad to see it. Good for him.
Same thing. I did have to tell him the bad news that his favorite Chinese buffet was no longer around. Closed doors. It was A1 Buffet in Streetsboro. All gone.
But you know what? There are plenty of very good Chinese buffets in that general area. There's Fun Buffet. There is the one up in Twinsburg that was attached to the Gander Mountain. Plenty of good buffets in the area. That said, COVID times, fuck if I'm eating at a buffet.
I'm trying to think if I've ate at a buffet yet. I don't think so.
Man, I don't know when I will eat at a buffet, but I tell you, it will not be right now. No. I will take the portion you give me when I order my Chinese food. Thank you.
Thoughts on Carson and TKD?
It was short.
Yes.
It was a quick match. Did they announce? So in addition to the entrance music being a little suspect, also I think Steve Guy's microphone was going through the grandstand PA.
I do think it was. I totally forgot about that. It did sound weird.
And I couldn't completely tell how TKD was introduced, like in person or on the replay. Is he the gay con now? Is that the?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
Just because he's gay now? I don't know. That seems like a choice, I guess, but it doesn't seem to be like he was announced that way, and I thought I heard that announced, and I was like, well, he's still just like being TKD. I guess, I mean, if he wants to announce that every show, that's cool. Good for him.
I don't know, I think maybe
he just seems like.
I was gonna say, I think he's just trying to be more open with it,
which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I just when it's being announced, it just seems like that's like a change to the gimmick. You know what I mean? Like what part of what he's doing makes him the gay con now, and not just TKD, other than the fact that he's openly gay, which again is fucking awesome. But I don't know that I get the change. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. It certainly does in my head.
I think I understand. There's nothing with the nickname that ties to who TKD is, but maybe this is something, he's going to fix over time. Because we've seen, him do a little bit of change here and there of what granted, before he was just kind of known as TKD, and I still call him that, but the real full name now, which it wasn't before, is Tommy Kyle Dean.
Tommy Kyle Dean.
Yeah. Before it was Tom Kwando.
Right.
So.
And that change happened a while ago. That happened I think even at some of the last UXWA shows, he was getting announced as Tommy Kyle Dean. I thought I heard Steve say that, and I was just like, well, that's cool, but I don't get what the difference is. You know what I mean? Usually when there's a change like that to the way someone's announced, regardless of the change, regardless of it being attached to, if he's gay or not, that's not kind of the point. The point to me was he was announced as the gay con, and then it's but he's still just TKD. So I don't get what changed. Yeah,
I get it. That might be something we have to ask him about.
I mean, if it's something where he's evolving a character, that fucking rules, because he's been doing the TKD thing for what now? 3 years?
Has it been 3 years? I was going to check his cage match, but he does not have a link. So, 3 years sounds right.
So, there's definitely room to evolve that and to develop a little more character stuff for sure. And if that's part of it, that fucking rules. I think there needs to be some work, maybe some promo shit or shit on Twitter, or you know what I mean? Just anything to kind of to boost that character and kind of, put forward, whatever ideas working with it,
Yeah.
That's something I could say across the board too, is I've noticed it seemed like last year when there was no fucking wrestling to be had, a lot of people were cutting promos and working on video stuff and doing a lot of that kind of shit for their characters. And I've noticed in the last few shows that it doesn't seem like there's been, at least with AIW, as much of that. You know what I mean? I haven't seen a lot of hype videos and shit coming out of people. I don't know if people are just really busy now that everything's sort of there's shit to do or whatever, but I think a lot of not just TKD, but across the board, I think everybody could use some additional work. Some people are doing it, Derek's always pretty fucking good at it. But I just feel there's been a little bit of a lack of that kind of stuff that kind of self-promotion lately. I haven't seen a lot.
I agree. We were getting to a point with AIW shows where, a lot of wrestlers were putting out promos, and maybe we did get them, for the few shows back this year. But, coming into the Chandler Big Guns tournament, you could have seen some sort of like promo from a lot of these guys. And it seems like even like going even just outside of, wrestling promos. And I've heard someone talk about this, and I can't remember if this was in person or on another podcast, but like, Wes Barkley, he was doing those like kind of like food review type thing. And like that kind of went out the window.
Yeah. It seems like there's not been a lot of focus on that stuff. And I'm so behind on listening to podcasts. I don't know what's been discussed where about what. This is just something that I kind of noticed, is that I haven't seen a lot of that. And I'm on Twitter enough, that I don't think I missed it, like if they were there, I don't think I didn't see it happen.
I'll give credit to Pretty Boy Smooth. He'll release things more evolving, this urban playboy character of his.
And you're absolutely right. And I will say that as well, that PB specifically has posted multiple times like, look, I'm evolving this character. If you're doing interviews with me, don't come at me with old shit. Pay attention to what I'm doing now. And it's this. I'm the urban playboy. I'm Pretty Boy Smooth. I am not the 7-foot savage. Like, none of that shit is still a thing. That was a thing that I kind of felt bad for him when he was on Dark, man, is that like, Big Show kind of made all of the really, if you've been around PB for a while, all the really easy, low hanging jokes that of like peanut butter and blah, 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 that we've all heard if we've been watching PB for fucking 3-4 years now, and PB should get a lot of credit for evolving what he's doing. That dude tries really hard to keep his character moving in a direction. And I respect that.
And even like me personally with him, I'm trying to get out of the habit of calling him PB. Like, I know it's like an easy thing, and I'm like not knocking on you because like you just did it, but I think I just did the last episode. I had a couple times, but I'm trying to get, because if he's trying to get out, like it's more Pretty Boy Smooth. Like I'm trying to say that.
Sure. I absolutely get that. I don't know. I call him PB when I see him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard. It's hard to not. But yeah, absolutely. The dude wants to rebrand and be Pretty Boy Smooth. I should be calling him Pretty Boy Smooth. He's putting work in for it, and other people aren't.
Mm-hmm. I know I've talked to him about that, like the whole character, and he's like, well, I want to, or even before he started doing it, he's like, I'm going to just do this whole change because I'm getting tired of like you said, of like all these things, and like it's going to be like this. So I'm really happy about him.
And that match is coming up in a minute. We'll talk about it. But,
yes.
So yeah, Carson TKD. It was short, but it was good.
Yeah.
It was as good as a 3.5 minute match can be.
It was TKD getting the win via pinfall. A thing that I thought was kind of funny after this match. You had
Oh, is that really? Because Cage Match has that shit wrong. Cage Match gave Carson a win.
They did, because good thing I have Cage Match up, but I also have the tweets up, and sometimes
Cage Match,
and sometimes I immediately lean on Cage Match because everything's right there. I don't have to scroll through a feed, and if I lose my place, it's obviously a lot easier to find. But I have a picture of Carson on the mat and Zave raising the hand of TKD. Because I'll admit this too. I've also like tweeted out the wrong results. I'll put person one is actually the person who lost, and I'll have someone say, hey, like especially if it was like on a live stream, they're like, oh, that was wrong, and I'm like, oh shit, my bad.
Yeah. So yeah, Cage Match, as a different podcast regularly says, not really good for many things except a list of what gimmicks you maybe used to have.
That really helps Brian Carson's stats on there, because he actually has a profile and a link and everything.
Maybe what actually happened is Carson paid somebody to give him a win on Cage.
But I was going to mention that the thing that I thought was funny was Brian Carson, as he was leaving, he was like, oh, like, I'm going to go back to commentary. Who's your favorite commentator or something like that? And I just pointed up because I knew he was there. And I'm like, Pedro! Nonetheless, I think we've said it a lot on the show. Like, the transition Carson has been able to do from the ring to commentary is amazing. And then, if he has to like hang it up one day or he gives up one day, that's something that he could easily do every single show and no one will complain. I don't want to say that. Some people are assholes, but I think he's great in commentary.
Yeah, man, Carson found, I think, the sweet spot for him with commentary. He's not, I'm not saying that he's like a terrible wrestler. He's fine, but he is better at commentary than he is at wrestling. And that is not meant as it's meant as a compliment to his comment.
Yeah, I'll say with this too, like I wasn't insulting his wrestling, saying like he should give up, but I know like there's been some injury issues, and if he's just like, you know what, I'm done, then
no, yeah. Summers, you meant he should give up. Quit trying to cover it up. You were like, Brian Carson should give up and just do commentary.
Listen, I say stupid shit on the show all the time, and I'll point it out. This was not one of the stupid shits. All right, let's move on to the next match. Oh, Big Twan Tucker versus Levi Everett.
If there was ever somebody who should be wrestling at a county fairgrounds, it's Levi Everett.
I want to know why we did not arrange for him to have a horse and buggy bring him to the ring.
Well, because neither of us are in charge of that, Justin. And I don't know about you, but I don't have any contacts in the Amish community.
Levi might.
If you told me today, hey, man, I need you to get a horse and buggy for an Amish man to ride to the ring in, I'd be like, oh, fuck. They don't have phones or the internet. I have to go figure out where Amish are.
It's all right. I'll go undercover.
Hey, well, one time at the Rogers sale, I saw Amish me. I saw my Amish doppelganger. He was walking out of a porta potty as I was walking in, and we had a moment where we looked at each other, both had the same realization, went on with our days.
I can only imagine. But this is a fun match. I think just love Big Twan and love Levi. Getting them in the ring together is so much fun. And I don't know.
These two also had maybe the biggest pops of the night when they came out. Like, it was loud as shit for both of these dudes when they came out. Specifically Big Twan.
I kind of feel like with this show, we did have like a lot of student families there. There's another wrestler that's going to come up in a match or so, and I swear he definitely had family there because I've never seen anybody wear his shirts.
Oh.
So when I saw them, I was like, oh, you must be related. But
I like this dude Levi Everett that just gets down to business too. Like, he left the butter churn like up in the fucking bleachers and just fucking beelined it to Twan.
Yeah.
Levi Everett goes hard these days. I like it.
Levi is a crazy motherfucker. And I don't think I've ever met anybody that didn't like him.
No, I like him. I've maybe only had like 3 or 4 conversations with the dude ever, but I like him. His gimmick's fucking great. Love it.
What gimmick?
Exactly.
I still remember the stretch where he was getting a lot of AIW dark matches. And also he did have the one UXWA match after Hell on Earth too, on top of his dark match debut.
Yeah.
And then, like, he's a dude that he instantly got over in AIW.
Yeah. He got over a lot of places, man, because he's good and the fucking gimmick rules. And I just wish time had lined up differently so that the reality, my dream of him and Danny Doring as a tag team, or a 3-man team with him, Doring, and Roadkill. I know Roadkill can't work anymore, but man, that's like my dream match is a different version of Roadkill and Doring that is Levi Everett and Danny Doring for a show. Just one show. It needs to happen.
It needs to happen at some Wrestle Rager. And Roadkill can just be the manager.
Fucking Rager match. That would be a fucking amazing Rager match. There's a Rager in like fucking 3 weeks. Boy, that'd be a hell of a surprise. Love that.
And we don't even have any matches announced for that shit.
Well, I mean, there's a poster. At least you know some of the people who's going to be there.
True. But when you're kind of trying to do previews,
that's a you problem.
Yeah, that is a me problem.
But Big Twan versus Levi ruled.
Fuck yeah.
So by this point in the show, I was pretty miserable in the bleachers. And this show energized me again this match energized me again for a minute. Because I was not feeling them fucking bleachers at this point. But this match was fucking really good.
Hopefully this is a match that gets ran back on another AIW show. Like, yeah, it was on IWTV, but like, give this a match at the Odeon, give this a match at Akron, just a bigger AIW crowd. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Fuck this at Rager.
Sure.
Give Levi the Rager treatment. That'd be great.
You know, and the thing with Levi is he's like deceptively big. He's bigger than you think he is.
Yeah.
You know, like Twan is not a crazy amount bigger than Levi.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, roughly the same.
But yeah, this was a good match. I'm glad to see Twan back in the ring. It's always good to see Levi.
It was Levi getting the win via pinfall. Let's move on to the next match. We had Megan Myers versus Riley Rose versus Casey Carrington versus Frankie Flynn with Francis the Cane.
Flynn lives.
One great thing that I loved about this match of being front row and in the particular corner, that's where Francis the Cane was sitting. And there were a couple times, I believe it was Casey knocked him over. And one time, like, Frankie seen it. And the look on his face was priceless.
Well, I mean, that's his friend.
Kind of maybe hoping for a little bit more revenge from Frankie on it, but
I don't know.
This was I would say a good match of, we got some newer faces in the IW for the most part.
For sure.
With Frankie, and
Frankie is definitely the vet in this match.
yes.
Riley Rose, shout out to that dude for being tough as shit. He fucks that leg up real early in this match. On the one, he like dives to the outside, and like a few shows ago, he did that fucking headwalk move that ruled, that looked like some shit, like crowd killing shit from a hardcore show. And it was kind of that same move, but he landed, and you could see, like when you watch the playback, that's exactly when he fucked his foot up, and it's early in the match. And that dude muscled through the rest of that fucking match with a broken fucking leg or ankle. So Riley Rose, tough fucking dude, high pain tolerance on that guy.
Yeah, it was kind of like a dive with a flip, because how he like landed on his feet, but it wasn't like a perfect land. Like I remember, I was watching that, and I thought his ankles were fucked up. Then when he, continued on the match, I was like, oh, like that's cool. Then come find out after the show, like, oh no, he fucked his ankle up.
Yeah, man. But like tough, like he wrestles the whole match like that. Tough fucking dude. Tough fucking dude.
Yeah, I would say this match was also just really good to, like I said, showcase this particular talent. We haven't seen, a lot of Riley Rose and Casey Carrington and Megan Myers outside of the Chandler Bacon tournament. So
right.
So this was a great way to spotlight them.
Yeah, I mean, they're all still in kind of that. I hate to say that it's like, like there's a time frame where this is the kind of matches you're going to get booked in, but they're still in that like scramble match phase, where like, it's your chance to kind of show some shit off and get your shit in and let people get familiar with you. And you don't have to carry a whole match because there's a bunch of other people in it. And it's a good place. I mean, there are a lot of people who wrestled in other spots on this show that spent some time doing them fucking scramble matches, right?
Oh yeah. And I agree too. And it's just kind of how it is, where you're going to come into AIW or just a company in general, and you're going to have a portion of the audience, if not the whole audience, not familiar with you. So we have to get engaged one way or another, where we have to build up disdain for you, or, we get a liking to you.
Right. And, respect to Frankie Flynn for, unlike some other people who've been around for a while, not bitching about being in a scramble, being happy to be on the card.
Mm-hmm.
Some people aren't a fan of being in a scramble match. I don't know if you know that, Justin.
I've heard that once or twice.
Oh. But, scramble matches are what they are. I thought this one was, so in person, this was when I was like my most miserable in the stands. And I didn't pay a lot of attention to this match live, but I did on the replay. And it was, for a scramble match, this was a really good match. There were a lot of good spots in it. I genuinely like what Frankie Flynn is doing. Like, I genuinely like it.
Same.
I really do. I hope he keeps doing it, and I hope he keeps getting spots doing it. I like it. Crazy person talks to a stick, Frankie Flynn, I like.
He's really good at reinventing himself bit by bit. So yeah. I love seeing this, and more Frankie Flynn for us.
Yeah, here's the thing. That dude has acted before and stuff. So, like, character work is his strongest point. And I think this gives him an opportunity to really leverage the thing that he's the best at. So I only hope good shit for Frankie. Frankie Flynn, however, not the winner.
No.
Riley Rose won with a broken fucking ankle.
Yes. Pitting Casey Carrington. So with that, let's move on to the next one. This is one match I'd been looking forward to for almost a year. We had 40 Acres, Pretty Boy Smooth, and Jocelyn Navarro versus Derek Dillinger and Ziggy Haim of the production. And it was just like the simple of adding in Ziggy and Jocelyn both to AIW, figuring like this was going to happen at some point. And with the history between Smooth and Derek, I feel like we're going to see it again at some point again, because these two are always against each other, and it's always fun to watch too.
Well, and another thing that's interesting is it's two dudes who are both talkers, right? Like Derek, very much a talker. Both guys that are Twitter presence guys who put promos out, who put shit out for themselves. Jocelyn and Ziggy have really stepped up in the past year in AIW. Ziggy has like just the dynamic of her, maybe not necessarily in the tag team, right? Like the tag team thing works, but just the general dynamic of what her and Derek have going on, where like he uses her as a weapon and shit. And she, you know what I mean? She's not just a valet or just a manager. Like she's a threat on the outside. I dig that a lot. And I also dig the way Jocelyn has worked into 40 Acres, where, when she's in a valet mode, she handles it completely different. Like the night before at the Biggins tournament, completely different than the way this was in the tag team match. There's a lot of good to say about both of them and the moves forward I've seen them make from seeing both of them outside of AIW previously.
And the thing that I believe I mentioned before too is the kind of like transformation of Ziggy going from Jinx to Ziggy. And there's been a clear difference. It wasn't just, same person, different name. I decided to change it up. It was no, there has been attitude change all across the board with her. And I think over these past 2 days, it showed. You had one outside of the ring when she's dealing with fans, and you had this inside of the ring dealing with 40 Acres. And
dude, the night, I know this isn't about that show, but the shit she did the night before, the yelling at the crowd and shit, was top fucking notch. Like her work for Derek's matches during the Biggins tournament was top fucking, very fucking.
Yelling at the crowd, mocking Ed. It was all great.
It was really fucking good. Like as good as you could possibly do what she was there to do, she did.
And for me, this was, sort of exactly what I expected, of just all out craziness. And the thing also we got to mention is, from the previous night, Derek got cut open.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little cut.
Little like paper cut. Reopened again during this match fairly early on.
Also, I really dig that at the beginning of this match, he made Steve Guy do his entrance again because he didn't, the announcement, because he didn't like it. So he told him he had to do it better. And then Jocelyn was like, what's my birthday? So now you have to sing me happy birthday.
Yes.
Also, both of these guys have changed their music recently. And I'm sure a lot of people miss the All My Friends Are Dead production music. But I really like the new music choice Derek made. And I really like the fact that PB just picked like an I'll Be Sure song and was like, yep, this is my entrance music now. Fuck you. I'm doing smooth R&B as my entrance music.
Yeah. I think that goes with his whole, urban playboy thing. I mean, I'm hoping like if there is a moment where we get a bigger form of 40 Acres, of whether AJ Gray happens to come back, whether Trey Lamar comes back, whatever it may be, like maybe we do pull out the Shine theme song. But I do like this too. And I think too, going back to what you were saying about Derek's theme, is I liked All My Friends Are Dead, but that was perfect for the change of the production. And granted, it's changed more, but I like, we're because it changed again, we're changing the music.
Right, because at this point, from what I could tell, the production is Derek and Ziggy.
Correct.
That's it. There's nobody else. It's those two. And so this fits that better. You know, that other thing was a different thing. It was a different time. This is Derek's thing. This is Derek's version of the production.
Curious to see where 40 Acres does go if they do like add like a new person to fill in for Trey. But if they don't, I'm still fine with these two.
California's far away, man.
Pretty far away, and I don't know if and when we'll see AJ Gray again because he's been fairly busy lately.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what the future of 40 Acres is? I could tell you that I like the dynamic of PB and Jocelyn together, for sure. I've liked every incarnation of 40 Acres as well. You know, like
agree.
Both of those things, 40 Acres and the production, are both examples of how AIW pulls off factions very well. They don't ever get like weird, bloated, where there's too many people in and it doesn't make sense. Even when the production had like 5 people at its biggest, it still didn't feel like bloated, right?
Everybody made sense.
Yes, it didn't even feel as bloated as like, you know, that numbers gimmick does that some other people are.
Yeah.
And 40 Acres to me always made sense, and I liked 40 Acres a lot from the jump, and I'm excited to see where it goes because there are a lot of possibilities for that.
There are 3 people I would like to see added, but not necessarily all at the same time. I kind of think of either a 2-person edition would be great or a 1-person edition. I'll only mention the 2-person edition because I think there's possibilities, and that's the edition of the main event.
Now, boy, PB and the main event is a hell of a tandem.
And you could have it in the group where PB could be more singles, but he can also do some intergender stuff with Jocelyn, and obviously Jocelyn can do regular women shit. And then you have the main event being able to do tag team shit, but you could also throw them all together, or you could throw PB and the main event together in a 6-man tag match. Like that's pretty lethal. I won't mention the other person. I'll mention to you when we're done, because I think that this other person would make a great addition, but they've never wrestled in AIW.
Oh, well, if they never have, odds are they might not. But the main event, man, that's very interesting. I'm real big on the main event. No secret there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that is just imagine that. Just the visual dynamic of those two and PB Smooth. That's just fucking great. That really, man, I like that.
If somebody doesn't sign up the main event anytime soon, that's something I'd love to see.
Yeah, man. They got those spots in those first couple AIW shows, and it got me very excited because I've wanted to see those dudes get a shot at AIW for a while, and I hope that it wasn't just those shows. I hope that those dudes get to come back because I'm real big on that team. I think the potential is just through the roof for those guys. Like they stand out on the indies in the same sort of way that like Bear Country stood out, in that, you know, for the indies, they are so much bigger than everybody else. And there's some athleticism with those guys mixed with a lot of like quality in-ring work. And it's just the main event. Truth be told, I don't know how they haven't gotten scooped up by somebody. I mean, now the WWE's cutting like everybody, but they seemed like perfect candidates for when WWE was signing literally anybody who had worked some matches.
Yeah.
I don't know how they missed out there, because they seem like that would have been like the kind of dudes that company would be looking for. But I guess good for all of us, because that means we might get to see some more main event on the indies. Yeah, Pretty Boy Smooth and the main event as a team, as a group. I like the sound of that. I like that a lot.
So as a whole, I thought, production versus 40 Acres was great. Like I said, too, I hope to see it again more and more down the road. For
sure. Just a fucking really good, really fucking entertaining match. Derek going out there after he wrestled a lot the day before.
Yes.
And bled like a fucking, he had to lose like a fucking 10th of the blood in his body the night before. or more. And then to go wrestle outside the next day and bleed more.
Yeah.
Just, dude's great. Can't say enough good things about Derek.
Completely agree, but it was Jocelyn pinning Ziggy to give 40 Acres the win.
Happy birthday.
So after this, we went into intermission, but we came back to this. Tim Donst versus Ethan Wright.
Yeah, and I moved my seat because I couldn't sit in them fucking bleachers anymore. Done and done. I watched the rest of this show from over by the PA system.
Donst got a fairly good reaction, right?
Yeah, I think so. Donst, I couldn't tell, like, because, you know, I'm not like, I wasn't up by the ring and whatever, but like, so when Donst gets to the ring, right, he's talking to Gary, and him and Gary have a little back and forth, and watch that part. When you watch this back, just pay attention. He talks to Gary about doing a shoot interview. If you know, you know. Yeah,
that was pretty funny. You told me about it before we started recording. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it myself. Like I said earlier, because of Pedro commentary and also like hearing that, which I kind of heard it in person. I was actually just going through my pictures really quick. And just as Donst is getting Gary's attention, like talking into the camera, I have that as a live photo, but I don't have the whole thing. So like, and I remember it happening, but I never heard Gary's response.
And I don't remember which match it is, but I think it's this one that Twan is on commentary.
Yes, he is. I was in the grandstand when someone told him that like he was going to be on commentary for the next match. And one of the rare moments I took a picture of something that wasn't like around the ring. I took actually a picture of the crowd because it was Reese reaching over and fist bumping Donst. And I can see Wadsworth and Twan on commentary with Jake Clemens right behind them.
Oh, nice. Reese was enjoying himself.
Fuck yeah, he was. And he loves Donst, so I wanted to get a picture of that because I know he was real hyped to see him back again.
Yeah, Reese is in the club with me where we scream Tim fucking Donst real fucking loud every time Tim comes out. This show did not. This was a family event. Can't scream Tim fucking Donst at a family event. Well, you shouldn't. I've seen Donst on a couple of shows in the last year where it was a family friendly show and you can't scream Tim fucking Donst. But generally, that's the move I make. Ethan Wright didn't even have music, which I think is probably best. I think that dude should roll with not having fucking music. People just fucking hate him.
I was actually rooting for Tim Donst in this match.
Good. You've came around to it, Summers. See?
Of course, I don't hate him. He was always a guy I just like to boo against, but actually we got to a point where I even thought about this because he hasn't been around for so long. Like everything seems fresh with him to where now, like, I don't know who he would face and I wouldn't root for him. Maybe Derek, maybe PB, but like going up against Ethan, I was like, I got to root for you.
Well, the last show, he, the deal was he didn't have his gear with him.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was, but I had the conversation with somebody like before the match started. They were like, did Donst forget his gear again? And I was like, oh no, those boots have duct tape on them. Those are his.
That's kind of what I was thinking because he was still wearing like the AIW shirt that he wore at Hello Cleveland. But then once I saw the duct tape on the boots, I was like, oh no, he's got his real wrestling attire on. He's just wearing that same shirt.
Those boots have duct tape on them. Those are his.
Do you think
Donst is great?
I was gonna think, do you think for his birthday we can like get him some wrestling boots? Like I'll chip our money together.
No, dude, that's part of the appeal. His shit's just duct taped together. Love it. It's the best.
I don't know. I don't want him to go out there and hurt himself because duct tape comes off.
On the big list of things of why he might hurt himself, I don't know that the duct tape on the boots is a big factor. But Ethan Wright. I've been very critical of Ethan Wright since his AIW debut. Not that I think he's bad at wrestling. On the contrary, I think he's a pretty good fucking wrestler. I just think he's goddamned boring. I just don't think there's any character there, and I'm a character guy, And but it's worked. People fucking hate him. People boo the shit out of him. So fuck, what do I know? I guess, I guess just not having much of a character and just saying you were trained by Harley Race a lot is enough to get people to just fucking not like you. I mean, I guess he had the AIW Academy killer thing, but I don't know. I don't know that character makes.
See, we were talking about this last week of who's the biggest bad guy in AIW. We had J Gold kind of like standing behind. He said it was the Shooters, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like more people hate Ethan Wright.
The Shooters have turned the corner, man. Here's the deal. The Shooters were heels because it was forever Josh versus Justice, right?
Yes.
We had almost 2 years of Bishop and Justice. And there are definitely people who were the Shooters supporters during that. But in general, it was, Justice was the fucking face through that whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But two things happened. One, smartly booked a bunch of heels as the face of AIW versus a team where the crowd in general really likes two of the people, but clearly really fucking hates Matt Cardona. And, Josh and Wes coming out of that match, and Josh coming out of like the match against Justice before that, and like just all of that, and like really turning the corner. I think Josh and Wes, I mean, as much as Wes like cheated to win the whole fucking tournament and whatever, but I think if anything, they're like that in between of like the bad guys everybody likes, Like, I think Josh is a face at this point. He's definitely not a heel.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I was going with it, because I do believe there's a lot of people that support the Rip City Shooters, and granted, whether it be some of the former Bishop Brigade and some of the Barclay Nation, it felt like there was a lot of that at the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tournament, but...
Well, I don't know a fucking thing about a fucking thing, but I have suspicions that somebody might have let a bunch of his friends know, hey, you might want to come to the show. Something good might happen for me here. Because that Biggins Cup show had more West supporters than I remember seeing for a very, very, like, maybe going back to Wrestle Rave is the last time I remember that many of them being there.
What about the last Rager?
I guess Rager, yeah.
Because wasn't that the one where they were throwing shit at Tom?
Yeah, I think that was the last Rager. Man, the last Rager, you can't, that one's blurry for me. I drank one of those PBR fucking coffee gimmicks, and then I drank a bunch of whiskey, and then I drank a whole bottle of Mad Dog, and I was real high, and it was hot out, and so like I was at that show, but I wasn't at that show, so maybe.
Well, hopefully things will be different this time around at Rager.
Things are going to be vastly different. I don't drink anymore.
So back to Donston, right?
Yeah, it was a great match.
Yeah. And actually, I kind of said something earlier about, like, I don't want Donst to get injured on his boots. And, well, he did get injured, but...
He did. I don't know the severity of it, but he was definitely icing some stuff later on in the night. Even watching it back, I couldn't tell where he got hurt, like at what point in the match. The other thing that we haven't touched on yet that I think needs to be mentioned is like, so where the ring is set up at this show is actually on the track, like where the horses run and shit and stuff. And as you walked across it, like it was like there were spots where you could tell like the hoof marks from where horses had ran. But it's just like dirt and maybe a little bit of gravel and shit when you went down outside the ring. So everybody ended up covered in like dirt and shit as they wrestled these fucking matches. So good on everybody for taking them fucking outside bumps in the dirt on this show.
Yeah, this second half had a lot of that. It felt like I don't know if we've seen as much in the first half, but this match and obviously the main event, a lot of outside stuff.
Yeah. This match went on for a minute too. Like this was real like feature match kind of. Like cage match says just shy of 12 minutes, which seems right. But it was good, man. Like not a bad thing to say about this match other than, Ethan Wright's your winner.
Yeah. Pin Donst for the win.
Yeah.
I have not said this on the podcast. if I have, it's been a very long time. I would have much rather seen Don win. But
You know, I get that, but I got to tell you, I think I understand it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I get it, especially when you had him lose the night before in the tournament the way he did.
yeah.
Get him a little win back over an AIW veteran.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it. Hopefully everything goes very well with him and he ends up being the role that it seems he's going to, and it goes well. I have just been, I've been watching AIW for a while, and I just get a vibe off this guy that I got off another guy who was a big heel around AIW for a while, and that shit in me. And I just hope this isn't a repeat of that.
I think I know what you're talking about, but we'll proceed.
For sure. I mean, they're completely different people. You know what I mean? There's a certain vibe, just character wise, like not character of the person, but character of the character,
Yeah. Like we said, Ethan Wright pinned Dons for the win, and let's move on to the next match. We had 9 to 5 versus PME.
Speaking of people everyone hates, 9 to fucking 5, man.
I like 9 to 5, but they're going, and I think I said this before, they're not going to be someone I'm ever going to root for. I think putting Lewis Linden in this team is perfect. Like,
good.
Everybody who complained about him before, now I feel like you have nothing to complain about. This is something different. And
so good.
It gives you a reason.
Entrance music is so good.
Yeah, I was about to say that was the one entrance music that was 100% not disturbed.
It's so fucking good. I tried to bribe Dustin to let it play the whole way through like a gangsta's match.
Nah, that'd get too annoying.
Exactly. Yeah, no, man, those two are onto something. Like when they first debuted, I didn't get it. Like I got it, but I didn't get it. I get it. It's fucking really good. It's good. Good for Lewis Linden.
The small tweak of adding the coffee cups, perfect.
Yeah. And taking all that time to pour it out of the fucking like the carafe, like the thing from the coffee pot.
Yeah.
Into the fucking mugs. It's so fucking good. Just so like every little things to make people hate him even more while that goddamn fucking alarm goes off. So good. It's fucking really good. And the dynamic of them that people fucking hate versus maybe the most loved team in AIW history, PME. Man, it's good. The PME, the number of just great heels they've had to work off of, man, like Colin and Cheech. Now they have this, and like they get to work with dudes like these, Lewis Linden is veteran. It's really good. Fucking great for those guys. I fucking dug this match a lot. This is turning into another one of those things where I could watch Philly and Marino have to go up against 9 to 5 for a while and be okay with it.
Like you mentioned, the polar opposites of 9 to 5 to PME, of just like their entrance music, or their popularity, but like their entrance music too. Like,
oh yeah, misery to fun.
Exactly. And I will say this, I don't know about you. If I ever hear that music outside of AIW, I still kind of like start to dance. Like I was at Mark's just yesterday and that song came on and I was like, fuck yeah, PME.
I heard something the other day and I was like, man, this would be a funny gimmick for them. Like, so their entrance music is their entrance music, right? And it's great. But remember, like, Mankind used to have different entrance music and exit music?
Yes.
What if Philly and Marino's exit music was Celebrate Good Times Come On?
That would be good. That'd be fun.
Like when they win a match, Celebrate Good Times Come On.
Yeah, that would be fun. Especially, too, like after, title win.
Yeah. I mean, every win's a title win for those boys these days. Champs.
Yeah, you're going to have to run that by PME and see what they think.
I'll say something to Philly the next time I see him.
But yeah, the second half as a whole was, fairly strong. And to have PME 9 to 5, so much fun to watch. And just PME, I remember when they were on that first run to get to the tag titles, we were all so behind them. I mean, we still are. But the fact that they They are holding the tag titles. Like, I don't feel like it's lost on us. I love them still being tag team champions, and so much fun to watch.
Yeah, dude, I am certainly not sick of them being champs. Like, so it very much in the same way that we're going to get to in a minute with the next match. Like, I realize for some people, like, title changes are exciting and they like to see shit almost like hot potatoed at times. But I really love that, like, aside from, like, there's been the back and forth with them, like, losing it to Infinity and Beyond and getting it back and that whole thing. Just the fact that those belts have stayed with them for as long as they have, I think really cements the importance and the validity of those belts. And I dig that a lot. Those guys had those titles for a while.
And I mean,
the pandemic had some.
Yeah. I really hope we see a lengthy title run with some title defenses too.
Well, there's a lot of teams for them to defend against. There's no lack of competition.
It'd be great
Of course, they have one match coming up.
Yep. That's a story for a different preview whenever that gets officially announced.
Right.
Yeah, but it'd be really nice to see, the main event come in and, maybe they win the tag titles. I don't know.
I mean, I don't even know. Like, again, like, I don't know that I want to see those dudes drop those belts. Like, I think those dudes carrying those AIW belts, shines a fucking really cool light on those AIW belts. They are, like, in a world of wrestling on the indies where there are not very many pure baby faces. Those dudes are the babyface tag team. Like, absolutely. They are the most babyface team on the indie. And they're getting out there more and more people are seeing them. And that just brings more to, like, those belts being associated with those guys, I think helps make those belts a bigger deal. Which is kind of weird to say because AIW's been around forever and those belts are a big deal. But I like the dynamic of those dudes being champs. And the idea that it's just going to be, a lot of people coming to challenge the champs. And so that when it actually does change, it means something,
Yeah, I can agree with that. And I think PME too, they're a tag team that, unlike all 100% sincerity, I've only ever heard one person say bad thing about them. And that's just someone who didn't like comedy wrestling and only seen them in comedy wrestling. Even though I tried to explain to them many times, they are a lot more than that. Watch them versus To Infinity and Beyond, but this person never listened to me. So that is what it is. But other than that, and I'm also canceling out Orange Flaccidity for anything he says about PME, because let's face it, that's obviously not how he really feels. But other than that, like, they are so widely loved. And I've watched them get over instantly in places they had never wrestled before. And that's why I love them.
Yeah, dude. It's amazing. It is amazing to see happen. I've seen it happen. It's fucking wild. But it's just a genuine energy that comes off of those guys that people fucking like them. Like, you can try to hate them and it's not going to work. It's just not. It's great. I hope they get a very lengthy run with those belts. Very fucking lengthy.
Anything else on this match?
No, I mean, it was a good match.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that there's anything particular to be like, oh, well, this one thing stood out. It was a solid match. Louis Linden's a pro. I'm glad that he's not a weird pirate with the Dangalang song anymore. I much prefer the fucking alarm clock. And Philly had a new haircut. And I don't know. Philly and Marino win. And good times.
Philly had a new haircut. Marino was sporting a bucket hat.
Yeah. Philly going with that Dutch boy look.
Yeah. PME got the win via pinfall. I didn't exactly remember who pinned who. So yeah, PME got the win via pinfall. And that left us with one match, and that was the main event. Kaplan versus Joshua Bishop for the Absolute and Intense Championships in an intense rules match. And this shit went crazy pretty fucking quick.
Well, man, I don't know. I would assume you've seen it because you're a Whoop ×2 kind of dude. But these two had a match at Juggalo Championship Wrestling that at this point I consider legendary. They went balls to the fucking wall at JCW. And I was really hoping we would get that ran back at AIW, and oh, here it is. And they went fucking crazier. It's so fucking good. And I would like to point out that the busted fucking PA system of everybody's musics, aside from 9 to 5s, it worked out fine. But like both of these guys, Kaplan's Deftones entrance and Bishop's Beastie Boys, both came through pretty clear from the mono stereo system. It's like the PA knew it was the main event time. Make shit work as close to right as it could.
I think for this one, it felt more like an instrumental, kind of.
Maybe. I just know that it sounded better than some people's. It was more recognizable. You could tell what songs were happening.
And no, I did not watch their JCW match.
Oh, man, you really should. You really should. It's something else. But instead, you could watch this one because this one's fucking crazier. And Kaplan came out with that big fucking chain around his neck.
Yes.
It's a good look for Kaplan. He should keep that up. It was warm out and he was still wearing a fucking, like a beanie hat. That's a fucking move. That's a choice. Man, these two just go at it right out the fucking rip. They both slammed them fucking skewers into each other's heads way harder than you need to.
Yeah. Like
them shits was in deep.
Like Kaplan was walking around for a while and like most of them were still standing there.
Dude, he pulls them out. Like you can see it in the replay. Eventually he's just like, fuck it, and pulls them out.
Yeah.
Because they weren't coming out. And he put them deep in Bishop too.
Yeah, this shit is pretty much what I expected. Eventually I will go watch it, the GCW or the JCW match. Just not necessarily have had time. And no, I do know there's a link out there for it. So yeah, I think one thing we have in AIW, like Bishop, like as a whole, is his stock is rising. And
oh yeah.
You know, another year or two, you know, he might be somebody that we're not necessarily seeing in AIW as much anymore.
Oh, I think that's definitely possible. You know, something we didn't touch on earlier, and it plays in this match, and my memory is a little fuzzy because I didn't like just watch this show. I watched it earlier in the week. But like Jake Clemens was on a roll of booting people out lately, like throwing people out of the ringside area. He booted Duke in that fucking Bitcoin Boys match at the beginning of the show. I don't remember in this match if Wes gets carted out because he got hurt or if he gets thrown out by Tom Dunn. But he's like, Wes ends up going away pretty early in this match.
I want to say he left after that dive, that opening dive from Kaplan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I knew he came out with Josh and then he was gone.
Which it worked out perfectly. I mean, too, like this match isn't very long. Like literally the last two matches before it are between 11 and 12 minutes. This is, you know, a little bit under 8.
Right. But you know what? They packed a whole lot of shit into 8 minutes, man.
Oh, yeah.
A whole lot of shit. They brawled all around that place, brawled out over by the fucking grandstand, kept moving around. And credit to, like, there's no spoilers here. I mean, go watch the fucking... If you haven't watched this match yet, stop this shit right now. Go on IWTV, pull the fucking show up, and just watch this match. I mean, you should watch the whole fucking show, but just watch this match and then come back. So, now that you've done that, I don't know how the fuck nobody noticed. There's not like a secret way to get over there. I didn't notice Wes go over to where the truck was. Did you?
No. Like even too, like a little callback from the night before with us, like when shit started happening elsewhere for the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tournament, we were like, nah, we're not moving. We're just going to stay here. I was the same way. So when everything started going in that direction, I was like, no, I'm just going to sit here. They'll eventually come back. This time it didn't happen, but still, I didn't see anybody. But then again, like I had that other side of the crowd there.
I didn't. I was on the side where I should have been able to see it. And I don't know if it was just that because he had to move like across. He had to just walk in the open across the way over to that truck, right? And I'm guessing that it was just he did it while Kaplan and Bishop were doing shit that you were gonna watch. You know what I mean? Like either during the skewers or when he's beating them with the fucking road cone or whatever. Pick a point when he gets thrown into the folks there on the edge of the rail. Any of those points, it had to be during some of that where people were distracted. But good on him for pulling that off and nobody noticing.
He pulled a little bit of a magician trick and, sleight of hand, watch over here while this is happening. We were all distracted.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I had a clear view of that the whole fucking time from where I was sitting. Didn't notice it. Not even a little bit. To the point where, because I also couldn't see everything that happens when it happened, I was like, holy shit, who was driving the truck? And they were like, Wes, he got out. It was there. And I was like, oh, I couldn't see him. Because then the crowd all like mobs around over there. And I didn't fucking follow the crowd over. I stayed back.
Yeah. So if you haven't gone back and watched it, or you didn't see the clip that was on Twitter or clips that were on Twitter, basically in the middle of this match, while Bishop and Kaplan were brawling, all of a sudden, the U-Haul started moving and ran over Kaplan, and that's when Wes popped out. So as soon as I saw the U-Haul moving, I'm like, that's Wes. Hands down, that's Wes.
The honk and the horn was a fucking very nice touch.
Yeah.
Kaplan took that hit fucking great. Just fucking great. That looked amazing.
It was
I don't know how much you could practice getting hit by a truck, but he seemed well practiced.
It felt like something out of a video game or a movie.
It felt like some shit out of a episode of Nitro when Nitro was still good.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then, because it's Josh Bishop, hitting a dude with a truck ain't enough. You got to jump off the truck and smash him through a door or a table. That might have been a true ass table. That was a table, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was a real table. My other favorite thing is, we've talked a lot about like watching wrestling is a fucking great thing. Twan I like everybody's video of this shit happening, loses his mind running in a giant circle, freaking out as soon as it happened. It's just the fucking best. But like this show shows you, man, don't skip an AIW show. Because just when you think, oh, well, that show, I don't know, I'm not going to go to it. Yeah, they hit people with fucking trucks.
Yeah, I'm really happy I didn't miss this show. And actually, I just hope nothing happens like this at the fair shows.
I don't know that they'll be hitting anybody with a truck at the fucking Canton Street Fair, but.
Yeah, so it was Bishop jumping off of the U-Haul, hitting Kaplan through the table, and that was it. End of the match. Josh pinning Kaplan.
As Mike Trombetta said, the shooters for a while have been saying, get out of the way or get ran over. They fucking meant it.
All right, that's pretty much it. Any final thoughts or last minute plugs before we go?
A final thought on this match, and a thing that I was hinting towards earlier when I was talking about Philly and Marino being the champs and holding the belts for a while. Like, I really like Josh as champ. And I think it's another situation where like him being champ for a long time is the right fucking move. I don't know how or if you ever get one of those belts off of him or you ever separate these belts again. But Josh is champ. I just fucking love it. I think it's so fucking, I think that needs to keep being a thing. Now, do I think it needs to be the shooters with all the belts? I mean, it's not a choice for me to make, but no, I don't see the benefit in that. I think that could make things very boring. But I really, really, really fucking like Josh as champ. I think the fact that he's like a guy who came up from being an AIW student to being the fucking monster that he is now, and a guy who, like, if you asked me across the board who has potential to be a big fucking star that came out of the AIW school, he's the first dude I pick right now for dudes that are currently wrestling. I would have said Dom Guarini, but who knows what's going on there. Josh Bishop, holy shit, for sure. I think that dude has the potential to be a huge fucking star. And him being the champ right now, I think is fucking great. I hope he's the champ for another year, 2 years. Keep that fucking absolute title on him for as long as possible.
Yep, I pretty much absolutely agree. Kind of mentioned earlier that, I mentioned it kind of for PME. I want to see a nice lengthy title run for Bishop. But I think we also have to worry about just in the future of how much longer is Josh Bishop going to be accessible to us. Like, granted, I don't think it's necessarily going to be only like a couple more months, but still, I would love to see him challenge all comers. And I thought we saw a nice glimpse of something. I would love to see him one-on-one versus Cardona, because I did not have the right appreciation for Bishop until he was face to face with Cardona, which made me go, "Oh shit, Bishop's
didn't look small."
Yeah,
Didn't look small. And I think based on some shit I've seen that dude tweet, I think he would like to have that match with Bishop.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So bring all comers, bring all challengers. I want to see Bishop do it. He's a great representation of AIW. We can look at all or a lot of the past champions, and this is the, first, AIW student to hold it. But we've had like a lot of, great wrestlers, and that's like meaning like people like Dawns to people like Tracy Williams, people like Filthy Tom Lawler, but managing to put a lot of investment into Josh before winning the title, or at least, winning it the second time. It's been a ride that's worth it. It wasn't something that, once he was strapped, everybody's like, oh my God, like, why'd you give Josh the title now? Like, no, like, granted, like you were probably, you're either Bishop or Justice, but at the end of the day, they're both AIW dudes. Granted, Justice, he's from the area, but not necessarily a quote AIW person, but nonetheless.
Well, so that's something I was going to say is there have been a lot of Cleveland guys that have held that belt, right?
Yeah.
And it always feels good when it's a Cleveland guy who has that belt, whether it's J Pro or there was a point where Eric Ryan and
Gargano.
There's been the dude with the numbers gimmick had it, which he's, not really a Cleveland guy, but neither's Josh. Josh is, a 330 guy. But yeah, so there's always a thing when there's like a Cleveland and Ohio guy who has the belt, but like Josh being an AIW student, and it was this way some with PB too, when PB was the champ, where he was a student, but he's not really an Ohio guy, right?
Yeah, and like him and Britt Baker, I look at them as like, yeah, they were AIW students, but they also had training coming into the AIW school, but like Bishop is one of those people that didn't.
Right. And so, Bishop, I really like the dynamic of him being champ. I think he's a great representation of AIW and what AIW is. I think there was just a picture posted earlier today on Twitter, I think by Pam actually, of Josh coming out to the ring for that No Consequences versus the Veterans match at Absolution a few years ago. And like the transformation of that dude from then till now, like to see the beast Josh Bishop is now versus that kid, and just that evolution and what being around AIW's done and watching him grow as a wrestler over these years, it just makes him as champ seem really fucking cool for the people who are, longtime fans and have been watching this evolution, but also to people on the outside who don't know AIW. Holy fuck, Josh Bishop is a hell of a representation of what your company is. When he goes to that fucking Jersey Championship Wrestling and throws around fucking nobodies and does these crazy squash matches, I get fired up because it's like, fuck yeah, beat their fucking ass, Bishop.
And two, like, this is something we talked about last week. I was going through pictures because I think it was when I tweeted it out, I'd seen Magnum posted about, it was like the 3-year anniversary maybe that the production won the tag team titles. And I was like, I went back to the match graphic of Danhausen's debut, because obviously Danhausen as a whole has come a long way since then. And also with his debut, though, he was not necessarily a last-minute replacement, but there was a graphic put out of Kobe Red still in the production.
Who?
We're not going to pretend like it's the same person. We all know Kobe Red. Anyway, the point is,
I don't know who you're talking.
The other side of that match that Danhausen debuted in AIW with was No Consequences. And nice. Looking at the early promo pictures of Josh Bishop, Chase Oliver, and
holy shit, there's another dude.
Trey Lamar.
There's another one.
Not necessarily like his debut in AIW or a debut, but It was debuting in AIW, and he's changed a lot. AJ Gray, the fifth person of that match, unfortunately doesn't wrestle anymore. That's Gary the King Baller. But the other
I don't know
four...
if it's unfortunately. That dude went out and made himself a lawyer. So, you know what I mean?
Unfortunately, of the point of, like, he was a dude I love seeing, and we don't get to see him anymore. Love his success. Love that even he gets referenced as the AIW lawyer. But
yeah,
to look at that match graphic and just go, where are they now?
Yeah.
Because
dude.
Baby Bishop does not look like Josh Bishop today.
No, not at all. Neither does Chase Oliver.
No. Trey's roughly the same, but you can see the evolution.
Trey is, I mean, you could say he's roughly the same, but Trey has changed immensely since then. He might not have bulked up in the way that Josh and Chase have, but he is a vastly different dude, and both in terms of in-ring skill and like physique than he was then. You know, there was a point where I talked about how I didn't think Trey should try to throw a bunch of punches in matches because he was real small and real light, and it didn't look like those punches, like it wasn't as believable that those punches would hurt like a bigger dude, right?
Yeah.
Not anymore. I just saw him in the ring with Lance Archer, and yeah, he got thrown around, but it didn't look like his shit wouldn't hurt when it hit him.
Yeah.
You know, like that dude has definitely changed his physique too. I don't know. Good for all those guys. You know, again, I like seeing good shit happen for good people.
All right. Now, any final thoughts or last minute plugs before we go?
Sure. I'll plug my shit. So super fantastic. Episodes have not been coming out as much as I would like for them to, but I have a new job and other shit in life, and you know, things go that way. And yeah, so there's episodes coming. There's going to be a new episode, coming later this week, because there's a certain holiday coming up. And when that holiday happens, an episode happens. So keep your eye out on Friday for a new episode of Super Fantastic. Super Chantastic is going away, because some shit has happened in the life of the person that podcast is about, and Ed and I are piecing right the fuck out of that. But we're gonna do something else in its place, and there is gonna be a final episode of that sometime in the next month. And I promise you, Askew is coming back. The next episode is going to have Matt Wadsworth. We are going to be talking about Chasing Amy, and that will probably be out in September. Should have been out a long time ago. My plan was to do Askew like an episode a month and knock out the whole thing in a year. Looks like that podcast is going to be a 2-year podcast, not a 1-year podcast. So you can find all that shit at the same, you know, that long list that Justin says at the beginning of this thing of all the places you can find his show. You can find it at all those places except the Podbean part. It's not there. I use Libsyn. But that direct link is in my Twitter, which is Super Fantastic for the show, or at me at Stacy Silvers, because I just have my name as my fucking Twitter handle.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this Friday, because for me, I have a little tradition where every Friday the 13th, and as well as just once in October, we watch another Friday the 13th movie. I think we're going to be on to, I want to say 5. I got to double check what we watched in October.
Oh, 5's an interesting one.
If not 5, it's definitely 6. So it's between the 2, but 5 sounds right.
One of those could be very topical for the episode coming up.
Okay.
I don't know when this episode's coming out. This episode could be after that show's already done.
Should be this week.
Got you.
That's that is the normal flow of things, and I'll just say it now. There could be a bonus episode coming, or it might be next week's episode. It's just going to depend on a couple things, but I do have a recording as of this recording tomorrow night. And like I said, that'll either be a bonus episode or next week's episode, but I'm not saying anything and not promise anything just yet because things can change.
For sure. Oh, and there's going to be another episode, like a little, it's not really an episode, but it's going to be a little bonus interview that I'm working on that should come out in September, that's supplemental to a previous episode on Super Fantastic. In the future, on a lot of these horror movie episodes on that show, I'm going to start having some supplemental interviews that kind of like coincide with some previous episodes, because I've found that a lot of people are receptive to talking about some stuff and have not been ever reached out to about shit before, which blows my mind.
Going back to the Askew episodes, do you think you'll hit the end of the series before or after Clerks 3 comes out?
Holy fuck, it better be after Clerks 3 at this point, unless that motherfucker is slow as molasses at putting this fucking movie out, because I am on Chasing Amy, sir. I am 3 movies into 12. And well, we did the animated series, so there's 3 episodes in. I'm on, the 3rd movie. They're gonna go out of order after this. The next one after Chasing Amy is gonna be Jersey Girl, and then it's gonna go to Clerks 2, and then kind of maybe fall back into some sort of order, unless I jump the boat completely and just do fucking Tusk in October. I don't know. We'll see. I have plans change. I had plans to put an episode out every month, but we see how that fucking worked out, right?
So what you're telling me is you're not going to need me for the Jay and Silent Bob episode till like next year.
Yeah, man, that's going to be a 2022 kind of job that we're doing there. And I will probably be living much closer to you by the time we do that fucking episode.
I have notes, and I'm going to have to like go back and like rewatch it again just to make sure I remember, because I only like put like small notes down. So I got to like refresh myself. And then
Dude,
I still got.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I still have additional homework that I need to do because I know I did it years ago because it used to be one of my favorite things. But to watch movies with the commentary on, and I know that's one that I watched it for. But it's been so long, I don't remember anything.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, for each one of these episodes, I put in somewhere between 6 and 20 hours of research, for either the horror movie ones or the fucking Askew ones. I feel really terrible for Matt Wadsworth because that dude went ahead and watched Chasing Amy like 3 months ago, maybe longer. And now he's probably going to have to watch the shit again. But my bad. Life. It happens. It's not like anybody has to pay for that show or that they would. It's free. I just make it because I like to. So.
And of course, you can find myself at jsummers330 on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, much like you can find this show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook.com/Wrestling Cheers, Twitter.com/Wrestling Cheers, Instagram.com/Wrestling Cheers. Email, if you so choose a desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com. And we have the merch store over at whatamaneuver.net. Like I said earlier in the show, please rate, review, and subscribe your ever listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. And you can find all the links for all the social media and every place you can find the show in our link tree in this episode's show notes. You can also check out our friends on the Trending Topics Network, such as All Beer Inside, Eurovision Showcase, The Spanish Announce Table, and Wrestling with Altitude. Check out our other podcast friends, such as Pod Van Dam, Super Fantastic Podcast, It's Evolution Baby, The IndieCast, Sobros Network, Biff Radio, Off the Hop Rope, Game Marks Podcast, We Like Sports Podcast, Powerbomb Jitsu, The Spotlight Series, Fully Posable, Doing the Favor, Positively Pro Wrestling, IWTV Guide, At Odds with Wrestling, Best in the World Podcast, Marks with Mikes, Dark Match Podcast, and Porch Talk. Check out our other non-podcasting friends such as The Store Jobber, The Savage Stash, The Mystery Men, Redline Radio, Mouse's Wrestling Adventures, VHS Party Tonight on Instagram, Happy Hour with Steve Guy, The Co-Host Wrestling Show, Good Company, Toy Hio, Time Capsule Toys, Stay Tough, Smokin' Jay's Barbecue, Wrestle Void, Midwest Territory, Southern Underground Pro, and the official graphic designer of Wrestling Cheers, Moy Boy Designs. That will do it for us here on Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, especially at a family show. Later.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries.